Hey everybody, it's Jackie from Motherwise, and welcome to my channel. So today we're making hamburger rice and tomatoes. This is a dish that I make that I just decided to throw some things together. So this is my recipe. I didn't get this from anywhere else. And so to start off with, we're going to go with a pound of hamburger, and I want to tell you that the most important thing about getting your dinner on the table in time is to have your meat thawed. If you have meat in the freezer that you're going to use, take it out the night before, put it in the refrigerator and let it thaw. So I have this 1 pound of ground beef. I'm going to put this in the oven at 350 degrees and bake it for 25 minutes. I don't want to have to stand over the oven and chop and fry. I don't like frying. I don't like being popped by the grease, so I just like to bake it. So 350 degrees for 25 minutes. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to make some rice. So I measured out all of my rice, and I have a cup and almost a quarter. So I'm going to put that in my pot. And with rice you need double the water. So I have 2.5 cups of water, because 1 1/4 cups of rice, you double that, that's 2.5. So I'm going to put that in my pot. So I've got my rice and water in my pot, and I'm going to put this on the stove on high, and I'm going to let this come to a boil. I'm going to turn the setting down to 1, and I'm going to let it cook for 15 to 20 minutes until all of the water is absorbed. If you don't wait until all the water is absorbed, then your rice is going to be hard and it's not going to be good. So let it come to a boil, reduce the heat to 1, to the temperature setting of 1, and let it sit until all the water is absorbed. Now you'll have to cover it with a lid. As soon as you turn it down to 1, cover it with a lid and then let it sit, because it needs to steam and all the water needs to be absorbed into the rice to make it soft. So that's the next thing I'm going to do. So now I have an onion. Hamburger rice and tomatoes is the name of my dish. That's what I've always called it. But I've started adding an onion because I want to add more nutrition, and I really love onions. That's one of my favorite vegetables. And so I want to include that. And then we're going to put some spices on top at the end, and we're going to do a couple of different things. And I want to encourage you to experiment with some different spice mixes yourself. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to chop up this onion and open up my can of tomatoes, and then we'll get on with it. So I'll see you in a few minutes. Okay, so I finished chopping my onions. I'm not measuring them. I just put them in here because I've already used this. I'm going to have to wash it, and I don't want to have to wash a different dish. I'm all for a limited number of dishwashing items. So I've chopped this onion, and I took my ground beef out of the oven. I'm going to put this on top and then put it back in to bake. Okay, this is my ground beef. It's still cooking. And here's my onions. I'm going to just mash them around a little bit, spread them out, and I'm going to put them back in the oven. So the reason I did that is so that I don't have to saute the onions, and I can just cook it with the mixture when we get it all together. So I'm still waiting on everything to finish cooking, and we'll be back. Okay, So my rice is done. It stuck to the bottom just a little bit, so I'm trying to scrape it up just a little bit and get it all up off the bottom. And so let's look at the ground beef. The onions didn't get as done as I would like. Notice that the rice was done, so I figured the ground beef was done also. So I'm going to go ahead and cook these onions a little bit more. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to break this up into a couple of pieces and put it in with the rice. So I'm going to get the onions off best I can. And it's still a little pink inside, but we have a little bit more time to cook. It's got to cook in the whole dish. So we're going to do that. I'm going to go ahead and put this in there. We're going to mix everything together. And there's a lot of juice in here, and that's really good flavor. You can save that for a different dish, or I'm just going to pour it right in to our pot. You don't want to throw any of that good flavor away. And actually, if you leave your ground beef sitting for a little bit, it will automatically absorb those juices back and be juicier, because all of the juice cooks out of it. It does have some grease in it, but that fat is good for your body. So I'm going to pull a few of these onions back out that I can reach, and I'm going to turn it up and just let it cook for a few minutes. I might need to add some oil, but there's still a little bit left in the pan, so we're going to see. And this dish requires a good bit of salt, so I'm going to go ahead and salt my onions. I'm going to turn the oven off since we're done with that part. And I used a large onion. And I want you to know, use whatever size onion you like. If you like a little bit of onion, then use a small one. If your kids don't like it, then leave it out. Or saute you up some and put it in at the end. Fix it. Make your food for you. It's your thing. Do what you want to do. I can't tell you how to cook it through. So, make it your dish. This is mine. Make yours the way you want to. Okay, so my onions are done, or at least most of the way done. And what I'm going to do is move this pot back over here. And I'm going to put these onions into the pot. Spray them all in. And then I think I'm going to take the hamburger back out and I'm going to crumble it up in the pan that we just used. So I'm just going to chop this up into a nice crumble. And this pan, I just turned the eye off. I just turned the burner off, but it's still hot, so it's cooking, which is alright because our meat is not exactly done. Actually, I'm just going to turn it back on and let it finish cooking. Since we're here and this is what we're doing, since everything didn't turn out the way I wanted it to, just go with the flow, you know. If things don't turn out right, then do what you have to do to fix them. And I'm not a professional. I'm just a mama who has done a lot of cooking. And everybody makes mistakes, and everybody has to go back and redo, and everybody has dishes that don't turn out. So don't give up. Just keep going. And make it work. If it don't work this time, then do it a different way next time. And I want to suggest that you make notes. So like on your recipes, when you try recipes, you can write down like I had a recipe for potato soup, and it had Parmesan cheese in the recipe. And the Parmesan cheese was not good. The soup was good, but I just didn't like the Parmesan cheese. And so the next time I made it, I put cheddar cheese in it. And it was infinitely better in my opinion. And so that's what we stuck with. And so the recipe in the book still says Parmesan cheese, potato soup. But I have a note on there, I marked it out and put use cheddar cheese. And I grade my recipes too. You know, like on Food Network or something, they have the stars, how many stars and how many people liked it and this and that. So if I find a recipe that I really like, then I will do that on my own, in my own cookbook. Things that I make all the time, I like to take out and write them up and put them in a different book of my own personal recipes. Okay, so now we're going to combine all of this together. And to keep the rice from burning, I'm going to go ahead and put my whole, a large can of tomatoes in there. And that juice will go down to the bottom and keep it from burning. Might have needed a bigger pot, but this is alright. So I'm just going to stir this up. And this spoon is the one I grabbed, the one with a hole in it. So. As long as it gets the job done, it doesn't matter. Alright. Now, this dish is pretty much done. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take half of this out and put it back in the pan. And I'll tell you why in a minute. I'm going to use a spoon so I don't dump it everywhere. So I'm just going to put this back in the pan, half of it. I think that's good. Alright. So, the reason why I did this is because I'm going to make two different dishes. Same dish, I'm going to make I'm going to put two different seasonings on it. So, on this one, I have some, it's called mixed up salt. And it says marinade and seasoning. And I will liven up your favorite dishes with this zesty, all-natural seasoning. Adds tantalizing flavor to meat, poultry, fish, and vegetables. So it says it has in it salt, herbs, spices, dehydrated onion, and dehydrated garlic. So herbs and spices, it could be anything, but I'm not sure why I bought this the first time. But we love it in here. So it's got lots of different flavors in it. I'm not sure what all it is because it won't tell you. And we use a bunch of it. So we'll put that in there and stir this up. Let me give it a taste. I think it needs a little more. Let's taste it again. Okay, that one tastes pretty good. Now, in this other one, I have homemade Mexican seasoning mix. I use it for tacos, and so I'm going to put that in there. I'm going to stir that up. So now I have two totally different dishes. Same ingredients except for the spices. So it took me probably 30 minutes to cook all this. But now it's been a little bit longer since I cooked the first stuff in the oven. Well, since I cooked the hamburger in the oven and the rice on the stove, I didn't really have to do anything but sit and wait. So, alright. So it's all done. I've got two dishes. One for tonight and one for probably not tomorrow, but probably the next day. So that it's not too similar. So this is the ground beef, rice, and tomatoes. Just the plain with the seasoning salt. So I'm going to give it a taste. So the onions have a little bit of crunch left. The seasoning salt, it makes it really delicious. The tomatoes makes it juicy. And it's just a really great throw together comfort dish. My son really adores this. So then we have the Mexican version, which I would eat with chips, maybe some guacamole. You could put it on a taco shell. You could do anything with this. Whatever you would eat Mexican food, however you would eat Mexican food, you can use this with that. So let's give it a taste. Again, the crunch is there, but this has such a different flavor from the previous dish. This is totally Mexican food, just because of the spice. And you can use any spice, any herb mix with this. You can make up your own. You can research online some different things. You can buy a bottle of herb salt mix, or that's what I had, the herb salt mix, or any number of mixes, and just try them. I would suggest that you, when you start, to maybe start with a very small amount and mix it up and try that first, and let your family all have a taste, because it might not go over good. Just check them. But you can make so many things out of this. This is like hamburger helper. You could even trade out the rice for noodles, for pasta, and do it that way. You could add some bell peppers and put some pasta sauce in it, and make something Italian made with rice. So try this and see how you like it, and let me know. And so if you have any suggestions for what you'd like for me to make, I'd love to hear it. Just comment below and let me know. So this is Jackie from Motherwise, and remember, dinner's at 6.